Welcome back to my channel. My name is Jade. I'm a dermatology registered nurse. On this channel, we talk about dermatology, nursing, and growth. Today is a part of a four-part series. This is video 3. This video is going to mostly be talking about me finding the Mahogany Dermatology Internship, why I decided to apply, and what I've been up to since I've been in the internship. It's about halfway through the year. It's May now, and I'm halfway done with the internship, which is surprising. Things kind of are moving fast, and I'm learning a lot. But I want to take you all the way back to the beginning and just talk about what led me to even looking for an opportunity like this and how I found it. So, in August of last year, I was working for a major hospital in Houston, and they had a layoff. I was working in my dream job as clinical nurse coordinator, and I went to work one day and I got pulled into a meeting and told that I no longer had a job. So that was hard. Now, being laid off is shocking for most people, but it was particularly shocking for me because I honestly believed, even though I've heard people say that it's not true, I honestly believe that nurses really don't get laid off. The only time I've ever really heard about a nurse being laid off was at a major insurance company. I've never heard about nurses being laid off at the hospital unless the hospital was having major issues and closing. So this was really, really shocking to me. Now, this hospital was having some financial issues that they were transparent about. And so we knew coming, like leading up to this layoff, that they were having issues. But my management team was reassuring us that our jobs were safe, that we didn't have anything to worry about. And that was obviously not true. So I was pretty devastated by that, mostly because, like I said, I love this job. It was my dream job. I feel like I worked really hard to get the job, and it was just the job that I felt like was perfect for me. So when I got laid off, I not only lost my job, but I really felt like I was losing my identity. Because how can I be a dermatology nurse and not work in dermatology? How can I say that I'm a derm nurse really if I'm not working? And so I had to decide, like, what is the next phase of my life look like? And do I really want to continue in derm? Do I really, or do I just want to move on to something different? As I've said in the previous videos, dermatology is really a niche field for nurses. There are not a lot of opportunities. So I had to figure out how I can stay connected to dermatology without being employed. But I also needed a job because, like, who don't need money? I have a family to take care of, and, I'm an adult. We all need money. So I had to start applying for jobs. But I also started doing research. So I went to all of my favorite internet places: Google, Facebook, YouTube. YouTube is probably my number one. And I just started, seeing what other people were doing in dermatology. And that's how I found Mahogany Dermatology. So I found Kimberly Madison, Dr. Kimberly Madison, who is the founder and owner of Mahogany Dermatology. And I just was consuming her content, watching her videos. And in one of her videos, she talked about the opportunity to be the 2025 nurse intern for Mahogany Dermatology. So I thought about it. The deadline was close to closing. I had about 2 weeks before the deadline to submit my application, and there were several steps, so I had to, like, really focus to get it done. One of the things that I had to do was I had to get 3 letters of recommendation. So I reached out to 3 of the dermatologists that I previously worked with, and I told them what I wanted to do, and then they wrote me glowing letters of recommendation. Like, the things that they had to say about me was, I mean, I knew that I was good, but it's always nice to hear it from somebody else. It's always nice to hear, what other people think about you, especially if it's in a positive light. And my love language is words of affirmation. So it doesn't matter how many times you tell me that I'm wonderful, it's always going to be like, I've never heard it before. So the recommendation letters that they wrote me was just made me feel so good about myself. And it was in a time I was still unemployed. So it was a time where, you know, my inner core was shaken. And I think at the time I really needed to read those words about myself to remind me who I am. Like I'm her. So as the as my my college age students would say. Anyway, so I got the 3 letters of recommendation. And then I also had to write a personal essay just talking about myself and my journey. The third thing I had to do was write a research paper. So I had to choose a dermatology topic and write a research paper on it. And that probably took me the longest amount of time because I had to decide what the topic would be, find the articles, and then decide what I wanted the theme to be. And so I spent some time doing that. And probably that took me the most amount of time. It took me almost a full 2 weeks to write that paper. I mean, it really, once I figured out what I wanted to write about, it flowed pretty quickly. I would say it took me about a week just to figure it out. And then the last week I was actually writing. So I wrote the paper and I turned in all the requirements for the internship. And then a couple of weeks later, I heard back and Kimberly scheduled an interview where she offered me the position. Now, during that time, like I said, I needed money. So I also was applying for jobs and I did land a job. I landed a job. It wasn't in the dermatology, it was in the neonatal ICU. And I had had previous experience in the NICU before. As you probably remember if you watched my previous video, that I gone into the NICU as a new grad. And so that experience helped me bounce back from this layoff from the hospital. And so I like started working in the NICU. And then in January, I started the internship. Now, I've done a lot of things in this internship so far, and I really just kind of want to talk to you about those things. So let me just pull up my notes. When I decided to accept the position as the 2025 Mahogany Dermatology Internship, I also decided that this would be my year of growth. All the objectives that were outlined in the internship, I knew that I would be learning some major skills that I had not experienced before. And I wanted to make sure that I had the right mindset to fully take advantage of all those skills. So, what I would like to do now is read to you the objectives for the internship before I get into the things that have accomplished so far. So, I have my little letter here. It was my welcome letter. And here's a little excerpt from the letter. It says that the objectives of the Mahogany Telederm Nurse Internship are designed to empower and equip you with advanced skills and knowledge in dermatology. As a participant, you will have the opportunity to advance your dermatology education with the focus on clinical practice, research, nursing education with the emphasis of skin of color. Publish impactful articles in peer reviewed journals and professional organization newsletter. Collaborate on educational presentations and enhance your public speaking skills both online and in person. Deepen your understanding of marketing, taxes, and the fundamentals of creating a teledermatology practice. Develop your professional brand while enhancing your digital footprint and advancing your journey as a key person of influence. And last but not least, you will refine your networking and communication skills, fostering connections that will benefit your career and community. So far, I have done at least one thing off of each one of these bullet points, which is impressive because we're only halfway through the year. I've learned so much, so many things that I just didn't know that I would learn. It's one thing to see it written on paper, but it's another thing to see those things in action. So I wanted to talk to you about some of those things that I've done, the knowledge that I've learned, just to give you a better idea. And then maybe if you are interested, you can apply for the internship next year. So, one of the most unique things about this internship is that Kimberly is building her business. So, she's building Mahogany Dermatology, and I get to watch her build it from the inside. And that's really unique. And as she's opening doors for herself, she's also holding those doors open for me. And if I'm being honest, I would pay good money for the knowledge and the education that she's providing me. And so that just shows how valuable it is and how you just really don't get this kind of guidance from anywhere else. And she really does pour into me, and she really want to see me win. She want to see me advance and improve, and she is so encouraging to me even on the days where I am doubting myself, which is a lot of days. I'm still working on my personal self-confidence. I'm still working on my inner self-thoughts, and Kimberly's always there to say, hey, you know, you have the knowledge, you have the experience, and you can do this. And I really appreciate that about her. You don't realize that you need someone like that in your corner until you have it. And I just think that it's so valuable to find a mentor, someone who can lead you and guide you. And for you, that might look like, finding someone in your space online. It may look like finding someone on LinkedIn and sending them a message and just saying, hey, are you open to being a mentor? It may also look like reaching out to someone on Instagram and asking them if they're interested in being your mentor. And sometimes they may say no, but maybe they have a recommendation for you that might lead to you finding your perfect mentor. So, here are some of the things that I've done so far in the internship that have been really impactful and that have taught me a lot. So, first, I kind of talked about this a little bit, but I get to see Dr. Madison building her business from the inside out. I get to see how it works to build partnerships and understand how business decisions are made, and how to leverage intellectual property and to use those opportunities to create more opportunities for myself in the future. That's been important. I also attended my first conference, Diversity in Dermatology. It was in Louisville, Kentucky in March. And that whole conference was an experience. There, I got to practice my networking skills. I got to talk to a lot of people and just get more comfortable talking about myself and the things that I'm doing. That's been a real struggle. And I was really nervous going to the conference because I didn't know really how to introduce myself, how to talk about the things that I'm doing. So, or attending the conference was really impactful for me. And me practicing my networking skills and figuring out how to really talk to people. I mean, I know that sounds weird, but I'm an introvert. So I would rather sit in the back of the corner and just listen to people and learn and observe. But if you want opportunities, then you really have to open your mouth and speak. And I learned that firsthand that it really works. Like, just open your mouth. So one of the biggest things that happened during the conference for me was that in one of the sessions, I raised my hand and I asked one of the leaders a question, just one simple question. And that question led to her introducing me to the other leaders of the conference. And that introduction led to me pitching myself to writing a blog post for their website. I wrote the blog post after the conference, and it was about me as a first time attendee at the conference and what my experience was like. And they read my blog post and they loved it. They loved it so much that they invited me to continue to write for the website, and they want me to be blog chair. So, more to come on that later. I'm really excited about that. And I mean, I knew that it was a good article, but I didn't know it was going to be that good. Anyway, so just it's crazy how just me raising my hand to ask that one question led to these opportunities. So it just says that you just really need to step out of your comfort zone. So now I'm doing that more often. Like, I'm stepping out of my comfort zone. I'm doing the things that are uncomfortable. like recording this YouTube video, and I'm posting it out there for the world because I think that people can benefit from my experiences. And obviously, there are opportunities that are there by just, asking the questions. So, another thing that I've been doing is obviously dermatology research. A big part of this internship is research. So, I'm currently writing a systematic review that talks about how interdisciplinary providers can use AI assisted technology to reduce the wait time in dermatology. Now, I talked a little bit about this in my previous videos, and I'm still working on this. This was a monumental task for me, and I think that after I'm finished with this first one, the next one will be much easier. But this is really taking longer than I really expected it to. Another part about me writing this paper that I want to talk about is how this specific topic came about. So early in the video, I talked about as a part of the application, I had to write a research paper. So when Kimberly read my paper, she thought that it was great and that it would be a good base for a systematic review. So we decided to change up the topic just a little bit. My previous paper was on how we can use interdisciplinary providers in dermatology to reduce the wait time, and how providers can be used in different ways in dermatology, such as nurse practitioners and nurses and primary care doctors. And the difference between that paper and this paper is the AI assisted technology. So I'm really leaning in to this, how AI can be used in dermatology, because it's really an underused asset. And I think that it can really help to decrease wait times and bring access to care in rural communities. And, there's just a lot of potential for AI use in dermatology. And so that's going to be something that I'll also be talking about, because I'm like reading all this research and I'm learning all these things. And I have some ideas that I want to talk about. And so we'll be talking about that later. But anyhow, I'm almost done. I think that the paper is coming along. Not exactly sure when it's going to be finished, but I'm hoping that we'll be able to get it published in the next couple months, and that I can share that with you all. I've also, in the internship, have guest hosted a podcast with Kimberly. And so she has a podcast. She's the co-host of a podcast called The Melanin Initiative. And for one of the episodes, she had someone come on. Her name is Aisha Patrick, and she's the founder of an organization called Sisters with Psoriasis. And she talked about the importance of advocacy and the importance of having providers who look like you, and her journey with psoriasis and why she started her organization. So I had the opportunity to guest host that podcast with Kimberly, and that was a lot of fun. Now, I was nervous, and I've never done anything like that before. So I think that when the podcast comes out, you'll be able to see my nervousness. But I'm glad that I did it. I got the first one out of the way, and I'm looking forward to doing more podcasts in the future. And as a matter of fact, me and Kimberly have pitched ourselves to be on another podcast. So I'll talk to you more about that later, but that is coming soon. And on that podcast, we're going to be talking a little bit about the research that we're doing for the systematic review, and how, there is a lack of providers for dermatology in rural areas, and how AI assisted technology can help to fill that gap. So, when that podcast comes out, I'll be sure to share that with you all. Another thing that I have done in the internship is I've become a mentor myself. So, there's a young lady who actually reached out to Kimberly for mentorship, and Kimberly thought that it would be a good opportunity for me to become her mentor. And I am really excited about this because, she's wanting to follow a similar path as I did. And I think that I have a lot of knowledge and wisdom that I can provide to her to help her reach her goals. I think that mentorship is really important. It's important to have mentors, and it's also important to be a mentor. And so that's what I'm wanting to do to help more medical assistants and nurses who are interested in coming along on this journey and doing something similar to me, because I now understand that I have all of these skills that I can share. And the skills like communication and professional development, goal setting and networking, things that I'm learning that I can share with others and help them navigate as they progress in their lives and in their career. And, I just want to be able to guide others so that they can accomplish their goals. So, those are just a few of the things that I've done to highlight the first half of my year as the 2025 Mahogany Dermatology Intern. Now, I could go into detail about how I've completed my task and the many lessons that I've learned over the past 5 months, but that video would be hours long, and I don't want to keep you here too long. But I will say that if you are interested in learning more about my journey and like specific details on what I've done, what I'm doing from month to month, then you can read Mahogany Dermatology blog, where me and Dr. Kimberly Madison, we co-author a monthly blog that talks about the journey for both her and myself in the internship. And in that monthly blog, we talk about the lessons that we're learning, the activities that we're completing, and just giving guidance to anyone who wants to create their own internship or want to participate in an internship. So we're creating a blueprint for others. And if you're interested in reading about that journey, I will link the first few blog posts in the description of this video. And if you want to continue to follow the journey, then you can subscribe to the blog, and then you'll get those updates as we post them on a monthly basis. I truly hope that today's video sparked a light for you and inspires you to get out of your comfort zone and do things that will help you get to the next level in your career, whether that be in dermatology or in any other area of your life. So until next time, bye.